crazy about this store.
Intruder.
What's up, you stinking rotters? Welcome back to the podcast that takes a deep dive into the best worst horror films of the 80s and 90s. I'm Stevie, your VHS veteran. Halloween is fast approaching, and I'm interested to hear what 80s/90s Halloween films you watch annually. Aside from the actual Halloween franchise, do you have any go-to trash horrors set around our beloved month? Perhaps Hack-O-Lantern, Night of the Demons, Trick or Treats? Drop me a line at steviesbrainrot@gmail.com and let me know, as I may just do a special episode for Halloween. Last week on Patreon, I covered Stuart Gordon's 1995 Castle Freak with Matt Draper, and due to financial troubles in the mid-90s, Full Moon Pictures didn't have any budget to advertise or publicise the film, and so it never really got the recognition it deserved. It's really wonderful. It's gnarly and moving, tragic and graphic. Just what we love, eh? What more do you want? If you want to hear that episode, just go to patreon.com/SteviesBrainRot to sign up from just £5 a month. This week on the Ghoulies tier on Patreon, I'll be covering the wonderful 1999 creature feature Lake Placid in our Rotters Reviews minisode. Long live Betty White, hey? This week, the film we're covering is currently streaming on Shudder. However, it's the cut and censored version, which really sucks, as this film is all about the kills, but 88 Films have a great uncut Blu-ray out there, and the deleted bits are also easily found on the web. With me for his first appearance on the main feed, having covered the House Quadrilogy with me over on Patreon, I'm joined by my good buddy Brad Hanson to discuss a slasher that has no business being as awesome as it is, a teen slasher from 1989 that's original and entertaining. It can only be Intruder. Please welcome my good friend Brad Hanson. Welcome, mate.
Good evening. How are we?
Yeah, I'm really good. I'm excited to have you on. Obviously, you've been on Patreon, but this is your first time on the main feed. You've graduated.
I've graduated up to the heady celebrity heights now.
Well, exactly. Yeah, I just wanted to test you out really on Patreon first, you know.
Exactly. See if I'm up to snuff.
Yes. So before we crack on with Intruder 1989, which I'm super excited to talk about, I just want to talk about horror in general. What is because you are a massive horror fan, you're part of the crew. Did you have a gateway? What was your in, and why does it do it for you?
My first, the horror memories that kind of track back furthest, I would say, is walking to school and seeing a poster for Nightmare on Elm Street Part 5, The Dream Child,
Yep.
and being utterly terrified by Freddy Krueger and hiding behind my dad on the way to primary school, I guess.
Right.
But also kind of intrigued. And then there was a local video shop, independent video shop called Hits Video. And when I got to my 12th birthday, my mum said to me, "You're allowed to rent 2 15-rated horror films."
Right.
Of which I curated the excellent double bill of Mary Shelley's Frankenstein and Killer Clowns from Outer Space.
Oh, wow.
Which, you know, PCC, if you need a new programmer, I'm your guy.
Wow, yeah. Wow, what a double bill.
Yeah.
And which did you prefer?
Killer Clowns.
Yeah, of course.
Obviously.
Good.
We all thought the Branagh Frankenstein was dry as fuck. And then I rewatched it this year and I was like, yeah, 12-year-old me is right.
Yeah, I don't think I've revisited it since I was about that age, actually. It just didn't do it for me. But also by that age, I'd been watching them and I had serious bloodlust. I'd seen some twisted shit by 12 years old. So
it's
it
always about
tame.
upping the ante, isn't it? Like you go,
you
do a Nightmare on Elm Street, a Halloween, a Friday the 13th, then you do an Evil Dead, and you kind of like the next thing you know, you're watching Slaughtered Vomit Dolls.
Is that an actual film?
Yes. I wouldn't recommend it.
Slaughtered or slaughter?
Slaughtered.
So they've been slaughtered.
Well,
Vomit dolls.
Vomit dolls, yeah.
Is it about dolls, or is it actually just humans?
It's women stripping, talking about their sexual experiences and vomiting and...
Hang on, I've seen this video.
Yeah, it's on xhamster.com. No, well, I hope it's not. The Soska twins are actually in the second one.
Oh, really?
Mm.
Oh, I could. Well, now that you said Soska twins, I can picture it, the aesthetic. Oh, that's good. It's very similar to me. We were both born in the same year, so we grew up with the pop icon version of Freddy Krueger just everywhere. And you knew him before you saw the films. So yeah, it's similar like that. I think a lot of people, especially non-horror folk, they always just assume there's some traumatic experience we're trying to thrash out, and that's why we lean towards horror. But actually, I find it a comfort. It's not. It's not me just putting all my pent up trauma somewhere.
I would say that I'm the sanest man you'll ever meet, but not sure.
You've got a Nicolas Cage in the Wicker Man B tattoo.
Yeah, there's some trauma somewhere, isn't there? I know where that's come from. When I was at Fort Park when I was 8, a bee landed on my strawberries and cream chubba chub, and I didn't notice. Put it in my mouth, and it stung the inside of my mouth, so it makes complete sense.
That's the nightmare. So you're that kid that
I had it.
Because I know because it's always a friend of a friend, that urban legend of that. Yeah. But that actually happened to you.
Actually happened to me.
Oh wow! That's a legendary story. That is transcendent. So this is really interesting, isn't it? So we're going to be talking about Intruder, 1989. What a fucking film! What is your relationship with this film?
I first stumbled upon Intruder. A decade ago, 2 decades. I don't even remember the first time I came in contact with the film, but I know that there used to be this, I don't know if it's still on there, but there was this YouTube gore compilation that I used to put on at parties to ruin everyone's evening. Yeah. So it would have clips from like Ricky-O, the story of Ricky, Brain Dead, the Olaf Ettenbach sort of stuff, like Prometheus and that sort of stuff. And one of the clips is the infamous bandsaw scene. Of course,
yeah.
And then I sort of revisited it. Maybe I found out while using Letterboxd. I watched it again back in 2015, just I think off the cuff, just because I was like, I fancy rewatching it. And then obviously, on my first ever episode of Evolution of Horror, it's the film that I championed as like a good slasher movie from when slashers got shit, basically.
Well, yeah, and we both agree it's actually a real, especially during that time, 1989, when it was really going to shit, that it really stands out and it works on so many levels, and it's just a really great slasher. Why do you think that is with this film? Why did it get plucked out of all the absolute mess that was coming out at the time?
So I think it adheres to the familiar stereotypes, but is very aware that it's doing so. It's playful, it's fun, it's almost borderline meta in its execution, but still has... like it could be made in 1981 and you wouldn't know the difference. Like there's nothing that kind of delineates it from being, aside from some pretty impressive camera work, which I'm sure we'll talk about later on. There's not that it feels very much true to something like The Burning or Prom Night or something along those lines. So like a very bare bones, stripped back slasher, but with like a wink and a nod to the camera. That's like, we know what we're doing though. We're having fun with this.
And you can, you're absolutely right. And you can definitely tell it comes from the school of Raimi, because obviously the director of this, Scott Spiegel, I think it's actually Spiegel, but I'm going to say Spiegel because it just sounds like I'm being an arsehole. Yeah, so he and Bruce Campbell and Sam Raimi, they were all students together. And so they made tons and tons of short films together, and they were in all these different films. And this was eventually based on one of Scott Spiegel's short films. I think it was called Night Crew. Mm-hmm. And and a lot of it is taken from that, so it's an expanded version of that 8mm that they did. Super 8 is Super 8 the same as 8mm?
You'd have to ask Nicolas Cage.
Yeah, all right, Cage bingo. There you go. Ding ding.
There's one.
Yeah, and I think that as well, because obviously when you think of those names like Bruce Campbell and Raimi, they tread that line of nudge nudge wink wink with horrific horror, well, in their back catalogue so well, and everyone has tried to do it since, and it so rarely lands well when someone tries to put those in with horror. Do you think?
Yeah, they really kind of nailed the slapstick element of it. A lot of the times you feel like you're watching like Laurel and Hardy or the Three Stooges. Obviously, they always call things fake shemps, when they're for the bit part players and stuff like that, and it definitely feels akin, like it's from the same school of thought or from the same process, because as we say, inventive camera work, which obviously Raimi kind of championed, the steady, the wobbly cam and all that sort of thing. And you're seeing sort of flashes of that in Spiegel or Spiegel's work or whatever we want to say. And you've also got Lawrence Bender involved as well, who obviously then went on to produce Tarantino's work.
Every single one.
Weird.
Yeah, apparently I think Scott Spiegel introduced Tarantino to he introduced them, and then he's produced every single Tarantino film. I think Tarantino used to even sleep on Spiegel's sofa, apparently.
Really?
I read this fact, which is so crazy, so Scott Spiegel used to share a house when they were younger with Sam Raimi, Joel and Ethan Coen, Holly Hunter, Frances McDormand, and Kathy Bates. I don't know how that can be true.
Imagine a little house party around there, man. How thick would that be?
Isn't that insane? Apparently it is true, but wow, what the talent in that house. It's insane.
Poor old Spiegel's kind of fallen by the wayside.
Well, that's the thing, isn't it, as well? Because he directed Hostel 3, which actually we'll be talking about the camera angles. He likes his experimental camera angles, and there's definitely some of those in Hostel 3 as well. Why do you think it hasn't happened for him? I mean, he's still produced, and there's a film of his he's been trying to get off the ground for a very long time. I think it's called Spring Break 1982 or something, and I think it's finally in post-production, and it's been about 15 years been trying to do it, proper 80s slasher.
I don't know because if you look at the film and how it's produced, the guy's obviously got talent. Like, he's got an eye for a shot, he's got an eye for staging, he's got an eye for a scene. For whatever reason, I say he just went off into the wilderness. Maybe he was a lot more comfortable in the producing side of things for a bit, and then Hostel 3 reared its ugly head. And if you get the opportunity to get involved in like a big franchise like Hostel it definitely was. Yeah. It came a little too late, I think, maybe.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's very strange when you look at especially the directing credits. It's very sparse between this and Hostel. There's things here and there, but obviously it just took his fancy, and he got the opportunity. So you would say, yeah, of course, because it was he said that was his first 3-camera film, and so he found that a bit of a challenge because the focus is in 3 different places, so you have to split your concentration quite differently for that. Whereas this, obviously, you can really tell he really revels in what the audience are going to see, so he has this one vision through this one lens, and I think it's great. I really do. I mean, some of it is bizarre, sort of. Still, you can imagine how their films were, their student films, their shorts were, because this, in a lot of aspects, I think, does feel a bit studenty and experimental.
Definitely.
But we've seen all of the slashes at this time, and they're all the same, so it just gives it that extra
life.
Yeah, it gives it extra life. And I kind of think it's a bit of a slow burn, and I don't mean that in a negative way, because you don't open with a big kill, and the kills get progressively better, but it's about an hour in when the kills really start. And the first half, I'm sure you'll agree, is much more of it feels very Giallo inspired.
Like Black Glove Killer, kind of light and shadow, and you've got like red herrings galore in terms of the whole film is kind of, it's a big red herring. Even the title was a red herring. I didn't think about that. Very good. But like, it's just it's once it gets going, it kind of doesn't stop, and I think you need that first hour because what it does is it fleshes out the characters to more than just meat puppets, where you're just like, well, that's the jock dead, that's the whatever. There's a bit more to these characters, not a lot more. You've still got the Spicoli stoner and everyone else, but.
That's an interesting performance.
Dude. It's a choice.
Yeah.
A choices
were made. I really wasn't sure what was happening some of the time. Yeah. You're right. I think it's really well paced in that respect. And I think it does pay off because, there's literally, once the killings start, there's no buffer scenes between kills at some point. It's just, it goes from one kill then it moves to the next one, and then to the next one, literally in succession, which I think is amazing. So, well, let's talk through the sort of main plot points and all our sort of favourite bits. So, can you give me a little synopsis for the people at home who haven't seen it?
The staff of Walnut Lake Market are preparing for a sale reduction night cruise shift, of which they're, restocking the shelves, slashing prices, until an intruder decides to start slashing them.
Yeah, very good. You didn't even have that written down.
I just made that up off the top of my head.
That's pretty special.
Thanks, man.
Nice one. That's your next tattoo. So, effects-wise, they had like Greg Nicotero and
the KMB stuff, yeah.
Yeah, the KMB. He pretty much got them for free because he asked Greg Nicotero for advice of where he could find someone who could do all this stuff, and Greg Nicotero was just like, "Oh fuck it, you know what? It was a 2-week shoot. This entire film was shot in 2 weeks on $130,000, and that blows my mind. And it just shows what you can do. And it feels like everyone involved was excited to do it. I really get that from the film. It's like everyone seems to be enjoying it, and I reckon they're going to work each day going, right, we've got no time, let's fucking do this.
Yeah, there seems to be a camaraderie with the cast, and it does seem like, I think both the Raimis are having fun. I mean, Ted's performance is a choice again.
Yeah.
But everyone seems like they're having a blast and kind of also giving it their all. Like maybe sometimes a bit too much of it. Sometimes less is more, guys. But I think overall, I think that kind of matches the tone of the film, because you have these big operatic swells of violence, but also these big operatic swells of overacting.
Yes, yeah, you're absolutely right. I like it though. So the start, we meet Craig, who is obviously straight away you're like, oh right, so he's our killer, and he's a scorned lover, and he's back in the store where his ex works, Jennifer. And he's still crazy about her, and he gets very physical with her. And so Jennifer is our final girl, played by Elizabeth Cox. What did you think of her as a final girl?
Solid. I've seen better. I've seen worse. I've seen a lot worse.
Yeah.
There. I would certainly say there are stronger final girls, but as an anchor for the film, because you don't, for the first sort of 20 minutes, you don't know which way it's going to go, because it could go that way. But you've also got Renee Estevez involved as well, and you're thinking, well, they're not going to off Emilio's sister, are they? Surely,
surely, yeah,
surely not. But yeah, I think she can't run for shit.
Oh my god! When we get to that bit, we really have to talk about that, because I don't understand what's happening, and I don't know whose fault it is.
It's someone's fault, though. Someone fucked up.
Yes, it's one of the most bizarre little sequences I've ever seen in my life. But I'm so appreciative it's in there, though, because it just adds iconic. To it. Yeah, totally. Apparently, she didn't realise how tight the shoot was, and so would on set say things like, "Oh, hang on, no, can you shoot this from my good side?" But they were like, "Well, we've already set the lights to favour your bad side. I'm sorry." Yeah. This whole thing, and they would make calls where they needed to film in a different aisle, and they'd toss up, wait, is it going to take more time to move all the camera equipment and the lights to another aisle? Let's just change the shelves.
Move all the stock over.
So they just kept it all in one aisle, basically.
That would explain why the laundry detergent just keeps falling off.
Oh, yeah, right. On the last day, apparently, Spiegel set up a certain shot, and he realised that actually her right side really is a better side, which he'd barely shot with. So it was like a facepalm moment on the last day, whether that's true or not. That's a good old 80s horror backstage story, innit? Get loads of those. But everyone gets involved with this Craig, because he's being aggressive, and he goes and hides somewhere in the store. And then we get quite a lots of not red herrings, but false scares. People creeping around and things falling and all that sort of stuff, are setting you up that there's going to be a certain scare. But they do get him because he's sort of assaulted Jennifer, and they chuck him out. Now, this is where we sort of get the stakes, because these are the night crew. So that means they're there throughout the night restocking, right, and repricing. This is where we've got, what are the names? We've got the two owners, and it's Danny and Bill.
Bill, yes.
And they say that they're actually selling the store, and their last day will be the 1st of the month, and they're co-owners. And we get a little bit where Bill's, saying, oh, I didn't really want to sell, but he's the classic. He's got
49.51.
Yeah, he's got 51%. I've got 49%. And when they're all doing their jobs, we get lots of shots of Ted Raimi, I think, who's got his headphones on.
Yeah, so I got a bit confused as well. On my notes, I was like, I had to go back and delete because I was like, oh, that's Sam.
Yeah.
That's Ted.
I did this a lot. And also, sometimes you go on IMDb and their pictures, they're all much older. And you're like,
I don't know which one.
I can't tell who that was. So when they've found Craig and they chuck him out, he's sort of calling the store and he's just hassling her constantly. And then, so we get Linda, which is Renee Estevez. And she's obviously billed like Bruce Campbell is, like Sam Raimi is, that you think these people are the main parts. But it's a classic thing they used to do. So she's the daughter of Martin Sheen, sister of Charlie Sheen and Emilio Estevez.
Yes.
What a family.
It's like the Coppolas all over again.
Yeah,
that does lead me to my second Nicolas Cage reference if I wanted to, but I won't do it.
Oh, well, okay.
I did do
that's a half point.
I did do it.
And we get a lot of this experimental camera angles now. So what are your thoughts on these?
So the first real example of this is, I would say, inside the phone shot, right?
Oh my God. I've never seen anything
shot,
like it.
Unbelievable.
It's really arty.
It's something that, like, if Argento did it, everyone would be like, a visionary, Bartha,
yes,
masterful. Right. But it's just like, it has no business being in this film, but I'm so glad that it is.
Yes, I'm so right. It's because it's basic. They must have cut out a sort of piece of black cardboard in the shape of a dial of an old phone, and then put the camera underneath the card, and then the wire goes through the hole.
And then they've got her suspended above, or like hanging above it.
Yeah, must be leaning over.
I had no idea. But, do you also find it weird that everyone is so upset about them selling the store? Like, why is everyone so arsed?
Yeah, because it's, when you think of the job and then their reaction, it doesn't quite add up.
No.
Is it because I don't know. You're right. They're really upset about it. Maybe
it's a comment on the American recession.
Oh, wow.
Jobs are scarce.
Well, actually, yeah, you do get Jennifer kind of, desperate for another job. And I can't remember. Someone does say something about, I know someone who's got a store, they're looking for a receptionist. I can't remember. And she gets like, oh, yeah. So maybe it is. Yeah.
Maybe it's good money. Of Reagan's America.
There you go. That's what it is. But it's in there.
Sight and sound.
Another of the experimental camera moments that I really enjoy is when she's mopping the floor.
The sweep shot.
Yeah.
So good.
It's really good. So obviously they've just put a panel of glass over the camera looking up, and then dirtied it so that she mops the glass, and you feel like you are the floor. It works.
It's like, how do you feel like you're rock bottom as an audience member?
Yeah, looking
feel
directly
like someone's
up.
Sweeping you up like you're trash.
I like it. And there's loads of those, and there's lots done with lighting as well that I really enjoy. We'll come to that, because one of the kills, results in a wonderful lighting effect.
Exactly. This is also where we first get introduced to the score in its, in its most sinister, which is a boing.
Yeah.
Constantly.
Yes.
But kind of dig it. Kind of like that. I did right here as well. I don't know what I'm talking about, though, so you might want to cut this bit out. So I say, sting! Jump sting!
Yes. I know what you mean.
All I've written is that, but I don't remember what I'm talking about.
What that is it's when there's a sting of music, and it's also Sting.
A picture of Sting.
There we go. Sting, it's a picture of Sting on the front cover of a magazine screaming, and they use a musical sting at the same time.
So that's why I've written Sting, Jump, Sting. That makes a lot more sense now.
But you're very right. That is an exceptional moment, and obviously, because they've sort of set that up, you can sort of see that magazine in the background with Sting's screaming face, and I was like, oh, that's interesting. I wonder why they've decided to focus there, and then you get an absolute close up of it, like it's a jump scare for us. I think it's
and everyone's like, oh, Sting!
It's inspired.
Don't tantrically sex me,
right?
Or do
this story. So Bill, the co-owner, the one who didn't want to sell,
yes,
he tells this story of when he was a fireman, when they came across a body that had no head, and his colleague went and found the head, but he was also eating a hamburger. And then the big punchline of the story is, and then he's got the hamburger in one hand and the head in the other, or something like that. And I didn't know this, but do you know that this is literally from Raising Arizona, the Coen brothers film?
Does that happen in that film?
Right. So it's like a passing moment where another character, but it's a sandwich, not a hamburger. and the exact same line and punchline is in Raising Arizona.
It sounded obviously I've seen the film several times, but when I was there is and I watched Raising Arizona maybe like 2 years ago. So
It's the old miner guy. I can't think, or works in the factory or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, but obviously if he used to live with the Coen brothers,
they're going to nick. They're going to
Yeah.
steal and nick and take little bits and pieces.
and that's all right. You can do that.
And everyone, when seeing this, lost their cookies. We also omitted his display that he's looking to make.
Oh my gosh, the Fart Box Arena. No, what is it?
The Fart Blossom Special of
That's it.
baked beans and pineapple.
Yes. What came first, the line or the ingredients? That's what I want to know.
I would say the line and then the ingredients, because I think the beans writes itself, but blossom is a very difficult one. So it could have been flowers.
Fart blossom.
But then that doesn't make sense.
No, Fart blossom. Yeah, well, I liked it. Either way,
I
when he's all this bit, and when he's telling this story and the Fart Blossom shit and all that, even though as an audience member we know it's going to go down because we're watching a slasher, they do a really good job of kind of putting you at ease and giving a false sense of security, even though I know what's coming. The way their banter is going, I did kind of sort of go, oh, everything's all right at the moment, nothing's really going to happen. That's an amazing thing to achieve to me, to make me feel like that.
Yeah, to put the audience at ease, because it's all kind of jovial and funny, and I was going to say witty, but it ain't witty. But like there's, I think it once comes back to that sort of camaraderie thing where you feel it as a group of, like a collective group of individuals as characters, but also as actors. But everyone's just having fun, and even hearing these stories, everyone's a bit weird. And they say weird stuff, but like it feels quite warming. Also, did you spot a nod to Hellraiser during this time as well?
No, I didn't.
So I think it's the Spicoli looking motherfucker.
Yeah.
Putting nails into an orange.
What? I completely
it's in the back
missed
of the shot.
that.
But you watch him and he's putting nails into an orange. I
No
think there's a pinhead
way.
reference in there.
That's definitely, for sure.
Yeah.
It's got to be, because that's not something you just do. I mean, I haven't done that for years.
I mean, whomst among us hasn't nailed an orange? It was a difficult lockdown.
Well, you just said like how it's not witty, but it's so stupid. But we get the comedy cops turning up, giving the wrong, and they're going, "Oh, here's my card. Oh, it's the wrong card." Yeah, and then trying to leave and go, "Oh, can't open the door." Oh, and walking into the door, and it's like this.
Gee willikers, mister.
It's so ridiculous. But you got to have the comedy cops, the useless cops.
It's the rules.
But we get our first kill now, and watching it when I did yesterday, it confused me a bit, because I was like, oh, why did I seem to remember this being super gory and bloody? Which obviously it is, but this one, it's Linda Estevez going to her car outside because she's off, and it's a full-on Psycho moment. I think it's actually exact replica of the silhouetted shot from Psycho where they pull the shower curtain back down to the glint in the butcher knife. But yeah, you see the shadow go up against the car bonnet and then turns around, you see the glint of the knife, and that's it. I really enjoy it because it sets up the whodunit vibe of it, which is strange because they've kind of told us who we're meant to think it is, but then you go, oh, they're not showing who it is, so therefore it's not him. But also Paramount, when they released it, had the picture of who it was.
Yeah, on all the promotional
all the promotional
posters and stuff.
Yeah, holding the cleaver.
You've got to wonder, haven't you? But I mean, this has got some great giallo shadow play.
Yeah.
Obviously, you've got the watermelon match cut, which happens a lot in this film. There's a lot of match cuts where they cut to something that's
being sliced or
But there's definitely a Janet Leigh vibe to this, right? Because you're like, that's. Yeah. I mean, I don't know how big a star Renee Estevez was at this point. I can't imagine. Certainly
she was a name. She was definitely a name, and they used her to promote it.
And then you do her first. You Barrymore.
I didn't even think, actually, not only is the shot set up like Psycho, but they're getting rid of their famous person. Yeah.
Which is why I was saying at the beginning of the film, like, I don't know who's the lead. And it then turns out to be Jennifer, but in your head, you're thinking, well, it's probably the other one, isn't it? Because that's the famous one.
Yeah, right.
Fuck off. Done.
Yeah. No, well done them. I like all the nods that are in there. Say if it is that Hellraiser thing that you just said, nothing's explicit either. It doesn't feel like another one where they're going, oh, okay, yes, you're referencing this. Yes, all right, that's Hellraiser. That's Friday the 13th. It's more subtle.
Yeah, I mean, for the keen, eagle-eyed viewer, you didn't even spot the Hellraiser. I mean, I
No.
might be well off, but I'm pretty sure.
If he's putting nails into an orange, that I can't think of anything else.
Yeah, it's got to be Pinhead.
Yeah, we get this is when it's clever with tricking us and stuff. So Bill, the owner, he spots that Craig is outside, and he's trying to look in through the window. So he comes round to tell him to F off. Why am I censoring myself?
F off. Beep
Do
off.
one.
Off you pop.
To tell him to fuck off. But Craig knocks him out with his own hammer. Dan Hicks is the guy who plays Bill.
Mm.
He's Jake in Evil Dead 2, right?
Yeah, I was looking at this actually.
It's all very in the family. This
incestuous.
Yeah, it's very incestuous. That's a nicer word to use.
And he's in Darkman, Spider-Man 2.
Right. There you go.
There you go.
Yeah, it's that gang, and they've been doing the cutting back and forth to Joe with his headphones on. And so obviously you're thinking, we know what's going to happen here. He's not going to hear someone coming up behind him. But actually, then the next death is Danny, who's the co-owner that we don't like. And
yes,
do you remember how this shot starts? This is through the bottle.
They foreboded how it ends in an earlier scene.
What do you mean?
That they focus very, very abundantly clear. It's front and center of the shot.
Oh, of course,
right there.
The receipt spike.
Yes, that's front and center.
Yeah,
and then you've got their friendships deteriorated. The photos in the bin.
Yes, of course.
And then you've got the Dutch angle doorknob twist as well.
Yeah,
and then so there's another match cut here as well. So when they knock out Bill with the hammer, it cuts to a load of beef hitting the floor.
I don't know if I even noticed that one.
So as he KOs him, it cuts to like Sam Raimi dropping loads of beef.
That's so good.
And then
I love that they've thought about transitions like that. I love that. I love shit like that.
Okay, and then we're looking through a glass bottle at the
yeah, for a really long time because they obviously really like the setup and the way the bottle. Which we get later again, I think, the through the bottle look. But yeah, so obviously someone comes into the office, the killer, still very Jallo at this point, and starts choking him. And I like it because he's sort of trying to hit the intercom to try and speak to everyone in the shop, and he's not quite getting to it. Oh, it's great. But yeah, the receipt spike, and he just gets pushed his face down onto it. I love it.
See, I know you watched the cult classic slasher collection one, right?
The 88, yeah.
I don't know if that's... Did you... In your version that you saw, do you have a shot where you see it in his eye?
His eye, yeah. It goes into his eye and then it goes pushing down.
Push down, right, yeah. Because I was watching a version on Shudder and it weren't there and it really annoyed me.
Yeah, when I announced that I was watching this for the show, loads of people were like, don't watch it on Shudder, it's absolutely cut to fuck. Which is... does Shudder know that? Because that's not the sort of thing they...
You would normally think they would pride themselves on.
Yeah.
It's also like a letterbox version of it as well. It's not even full screen.
Right.
It's a bad print and it's cut. So don't watch that version.
No, because this is all about the deaths, and they ramp up and up. Each one gets more and more elaborate and more ridiculous, and that's I can't imagine it not having them. Even after they pushed his head onto the spike, his lifeless hand is resting on one of those electric calculators that prints off receipts. Yeah. And it's just coming up with this bloodied
receipt.
Paper.
Yeah,
bloodied receipt. And then the light bulb as well. So his blood is dripping down onto a light bulb onto it, which is in a lamp that's fallen to the floor. And obviously it just covers the light bulb, which turns the entire room red. It's great.
It's also so artfully precise and set up. I mean, a lot of things had to fall in place for that to occur, but I'm glad that they did.
Absolutely. The shot... It's so random, but the shot in the kitchen where you see that there's an eyeball that has been placed in a pot of olives. This is when Joe, the kid with the it's Ted Raimi, isn't it? He finally gets killed, but he gets a knife to the back of the head, and the headphones slip either side of his head, and then it reveals "Careful, knives are sharp" sign. Now, I have to say, I love kills like this when someone gets sliced or split in half, but you only see the result when they or a part of their costume falls apart, like Julian Richings in Cube.
Yeah. Where he's
when
standing
his
there.
body just starts, yeah,
The
and his body
cascade.
just starts, yes, or Ghost Ship, quite possibly one of the best opening sequences in horror. Yeah,
Definitely.
when that wire just goes through everyone, and then it's slowly.
Or
you just
Final
start to see the
Destination
blood.
2 with the barbed wire fence that goes through the stonery guy.
Yes,
And then he's standing there,
that's
and then all of
right.
a sudden
And then he just goes.
"See ya."
Half of him slides off. And I think Resident Evil. I think that
There's a bit
square
of that in there.
room with the lasers.
Oh, with
I don't know.
and he thinks he's flipped through it, and he's like, and then he just turns, he turns into dice.
Yes. I absolutely love kills like that, and I think this is just as satisfying when he's obviously been hit in the back of the head with this knife, and the headphones just split either side and hit his shoulders. I think it's great.
It's good stuff. There's also a very artful water reflection shot where she's looking ponderous.
Yes, that's right. Into a bucket of water catching a leak, I think.
Yeah.
Oh no, it's to what? I think she's washing.
She's mopping up or something because she's cleaning it, and that's when she also gets as a cheeky supermarket checkout fondle with the other character. Who Dave?
Dave, yeah.
Seems nice, sensitive.
We'll come to it later, actually. I have some other questions about their relationship. Yeah, we're in the beer storeroom now. Tim, which is Sam Raimi, he gets a butcher knife to the stomach, and that it spews blood. It's full on Evil Dead sort of stuff now because it's
not
ridiculous.
Sam Raimi.
Wait, who is it?
It's the guy that's doing the beer stuff, yeah, but that isn't Sam Raimi.
Oh, I'm mixing them up. Wait.
So this guy gets it in the stomach, and there's like an arterial spray, but also a beer spray because the knife's gone through him and through the beer cans.
Sam Raimi gets hooked. Yes, sorry. That's right. Yeah. Once the killings start, they come right after each other. As I was saying, this is when it's literally the next scene and then the next scene, and not starting with a kill like the slashers normally do. I really like that. I like that approach.
It sets a different precedent.
Yeah, totally. It's worth the wait though, because immediately then we have Bub, I think his name is. Before we talk about his actual death, I really want to talk about the performance. So this actor Burr Steers, who's great and he's in a lot of stuff. I didn't know what was happening. Is he just meant to be a stoner?
Yeah. I mean, that's why I keep calling him Spicoli. Like,
yeah, well, no, I know. Yeah, I get that. But, okay, it just...
Do you think he's bordering on mental illness?
Yeah, yes. It was just very strange choices were made. It was very creepy, like his drawn out, long, elongated words. But I at one point I thought, is this a bit problematic? But
I would hope that isn't the intention of the film.
No, I'm sure it's not. I was just very confused.
But he's taken like Shaggy to the nth degree. To the degree of diminishing returns.
This kill, awesome.
The pneumatic head crush.
Yeah, the sort of hydraulic crush.
I mean, they've already teased it once as well.
Yes.
They teased it with Bill, and
that's right.
We get that satisfying squish.
Yeah,
but I'd say it's one of the least gory ones, really. Aside
you don't see it as much, but I think
the reveal,
as the tension, the reveal, and also I like the very slow because we become the drill. Oh well, we become the press. Because it's we're bird's eye over his face, slowly, camera getting closer and closer to his face. I mean, it's nothing new, but it just works. I really like it.
It's fun.
Yeah. And then then we get Sam Raimi, who's Randy, I think is the character. And he's in the meat packing room.
Going through stock.
Yeah. And so he finds a severed hand that has been cling filmed and packed.
Yes.
And then he gets hung on the meat spike. The thing I like about the humour in this film that's peppered throughout is that it's actually the killer being deliberately humorous. It's not just a setup for the audience. It's all put on display for the characters, like whether it be a hand packed as a meal or a half price sign on someone who's been split in two. I don't know where he's finding the time to do all these things.
He's probably got a very good type 5 at the stand-up comedy store.
But it's him doing it all. He's finding the time between kills to go, oh, do you know what? It'll be funny if someone... Because it'll take a moment to get the hand, find the tray, cling film it.
Saran wrap it, get the sticker on it. But it's going to be totally worth it. It's got the payoff.
Yeah. Like the eyeball in the olives.
Unnecessary.
It's like he's just popped to the kitchen quickly, popped it in there. And no one even finds it.
Nah, there's no reveal to that later on.
No.
It's just for us. It's like the killer's in bed with us, like, come on. Look at it, it's funny, isn't it? What I've done here. But they say, find what you love and you'll never work a day in your life.
There you go.
And
there you go.
He's clearly having fun with it.
He's having a lovely time because he knows it's probably all over for him after this because, he'll get caught eventually. So why not have a bit of fun?
Because he's got a master plan.
Well, yes. Actually, that's very true when we get to the end. Then Dave, who's Jennifer's new beau, he's in the attic, I think, for some reason. I can't remember why. Maybe he's looking for all these missing people. But he comes across Danny, the co-owner, the one who got the spike in the eye. And he's not quite dead. And then, he looks through a window and sees that Craig is approaching Jennifer. And he's shouting through the window, right? And it's one of the strangest things. It's a very strange shout. I didn't understand a word he was saying, but the subtitles, where is it? The subtitles told me that the line is simply, Jennifer, behind you. But what you actually hear is, Jeffer, banjo!
Jeffer Banjo.
Jeffer Banjo. And I was like, a banjo? Now's not the time, Dave.
No,
honestly, I had to rewind it and put the subtitles on. Jeffer Banjo!
Poor old Dave. He's stressed though because he's gone up. He's been scared by the masks, which are up there for reasons.
By the way, genuinely scared me. Not
Weren't
like
ready
jump
for it.
out my socks. When he popped his head up into that roof and there's a fucking Halloween mask right there.
Or whatever, yeah.
And because he doesn't, I don't think it scares him, but it scared me.
You're like, ooh.
Yeah, I was like, jeez.
And then you actually get, I think Rec copied this shot because you get the full
The
pan around the attic. And then obviously Boss Man turns up and he's like, I've got to go save Jennifer. I haven't got time for your fucking fucked up eye hanging off. And all that. Sorry, boss, I got to go. I'm not interested.
But we've then got the famous kill because he gets a cleaver to the face first of all, just for a starter.
After a flying, swinging kick to the chest.
Yes, very kung fu
Indiana
kick.
Jones is in. Bumps in.
Bang. Then bit of a cleaver to the face. Then he's dragged towards the meat slicer or the meat. What did you call it before?
Bandsaw.
That's the one. What's that then? A meat slicer.
Yeah, same difference. Depends which way you cut it.
What do you think of this?
Love. It's the best.
What
kill.
a set piece.
By 100. Like, it's still as evocative and visceral now as it was, I'm sure, in 1989. Like, I showed it to, I'm going to say officially, my girlfriend.
Woo-hoo.
Sorry, ladies. Sorry, boys. And she's not one for horror. I showed her. She was like, "What film are you talking about with Stevie?" And I was like, "Oh, I'll just show you this." And she's a nurse, or she was a nurse. And I've said to her, like, surely you've seen worse. Not obviously, maybe not worse, but like, you must be used to this sort of thing. And she was like, "No, that's really fucked up. I really don't like that you showed that to me." And I said,
Aha.
Well, I didn't like having to watch Detective Pikachu, but I did it. So
there you go.
Trouble in Paradise already, as you can see.
Relationships, you've both got you've just got both adapted.
It's a trade-off.
That's all. It's a trade-off. It's just brilliant. Of course, if someone watches it now, someone who loves all their incredible Marvel and stuff, they'll go, "Oh, that looks so fake," and that's not the point. It's so hard to explain to someone what is so satisfying and brilliant about that to people who don't get it.
It's the craft.
Yeah, of course.
That's what it is more than anything. Someone has made that didn't exist, and then someone took some latex, thought it all out, thought about how it's going to look on camera, placed it all together, and then it existed. It's not just a bunch of green and red dots on a screen that's going to become a fucking massive dragon.
Yeah.
Later on, it's malleable. There's touch to it. There's feel
tangible,
to it. There's sensation to it. Yeah, there's a tangibility. You can hold and feel that.
Yeah. That's exactly my thoughts.
CGI arterial blood.
In a little way, playing God slightly because you're creating life, something that didn't exist, and you just,
and then you take it away.
Yes.
The Lord giveth. And he taketh.
It's fantastic. And it caused a stir back in the day, but I think it got that head with the slice right through it, where it's just been chopped like a watermelon. I think it was on the front cover of a prestigious magazine at the time. I can't remember what it was called. It's like a special effects magazine, but it was a magazine that was on stand, so it was a very, very public, and there was a bit of an outcry about it. But it's incredible.
I think there's some great fan-made alt posters of that shot,
right,
which might need to adorn the walls at some point when I get round to it.
Yeah, that'd be a good one.
That'd be a good one.
That's lovely and welcoming when you come home.
Yeah. Here's our
You think
face.
you had a bad day?
I've got a splitting headache.
Then it's just Jennifer left basically, and she stumbles across every single body. That's what I love. But she arms herself with a meat hook that she puts to really good use, because she drags Sam Raimi's hanging body to barricade a door with the hook. And
it's so funny because you can definitely tell that Sam Raimi is still, that's not like a fake, that's really Sam Raimi, because you can see him almost smiling as he's like being jolted back and forth.
There's no dummy.
That's Sam Raimi hanging from his chin.
But it's proper sort of ghost train haunted house, this bit, because everywhere she goes there's something terrifying, or she falls down the bloody box chute, and then when she lands
half off,
that's where you get, but who is that? That's what I don't understand. Who's in? So there's two trash cans, and we've got the top half of his body and then his legs in the other one. You've got the sign saying half off. I thought it was Dave, but then it's not, because Dave's just had his head split in two, and we see his head in a minute.
We see him later. I think that's Stabby Arterial Man.
Oh, from the beer room.
From the beer cooler.
Okay.
It must be him. It can't be anyone else. Unless it's... No, because we see Spicoli. We see him.
Yeah.
We get the reveal of him as well.
Yeah.
So it must be him. But I don't know when he's had time to cut him in half.
But that's another thing, because I was going, who got cut in half? And that's why I thought it must be Dave, but then it's not. So he's had time to cut him in half, set up this tableau. Imagine
how pissed off you'd be if you did all of that and she didn't fall down that hole.
Didn't fall down the box chute.
She never found it. You'd be like, fuck's sake.
But that's what I was wondering. What other things did we miss? Like, they missed the eyeball. You know, he may have set things up
everywhere. You pick up the phone, there's just lips on the phone doing the Kruger thing.
But he's gone to a lot of effort. And also just her coming across each body. It's a great sequence of scenes. And it's just also, one, it's reminding us what happened. And they're getting their money's worth out of those effects. Because I enjoy seeing them again, because they're all brilliant. Because then we get Dave's head, which has obviously been sliced in half, but been put back together. And it's, I think
slightly askew, though.
Yes. Yes.
It's kind of got like a...
overbite or underbite.
Yeah, it's got like a weird overside, but it looks fucking cool. Like, that's a really evocative image. It's quite probably one of the more disgustingly set things, even though we've obviously watched his face, but like the kind of the framing of it looks very obviously unnatural, because you shouldn't have a half face and then it be slightly askew. But there's something about it that, if anything, was the bit where I was like, yuck.
And they know it's good, because they stay on it for a long time.
Too long.
That one. Yeah, it's a bit much, isn't it? Because even when she then runs away, leaves frame, they stay for another sort of 5 seconds.
Yeah.
Just
make sure you take all this in, boys, because we're about to cut.
All right. Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, we got a lot of that. Then she runs into Craig, I think, and she obviously she's thinking it is Craig doing all this. So she meat hooks him in the neck. And I think he passes out from that. Then we get the reveal, because so Dan, the manager, comes back in from outside, having been hit on the head with the hammer. How do you find this sequence? I think this time watching it, I knew, but I think you can explain it, but the sort of reveal of his hand, I think, is probably first time watch. I don't remember. It's probably like, oh, it probably really works.
Maybe. I mean, obviously we know, so because he's chased her at one point and the meat hook to the hand, I think it's on a door sort of thing, and then you see that his hand is bleeding, and obviously she comes to the realization when he's on the phone pretending to call the police. But I guess, like, if you don't know, if you're coming into this with fresh eyes, maybe it would be a surprise to you.
I try and do that. I was trying to watch it and go, that moment where he picks up the phone and you see that the meat hook has been in his hand, I reckon that would really get me, because I think I'm probably... Yeah, like, oh shit, it's him.
I guess it's just because I just know what it is. Like,
it's hard to
separate it.
Yeah,
because obviously you know from the offset once you go back into it. But then I think I'd even maybe telegraphed it on my first watch. I don't know how Poirot.
Or if you've seen the front cover and it shows.
Yeah, or if you just look at any material for this film. His fucking face is everywhere.
Yeah, holding a cleaver.
Yeah, no big deal.
But yeah, you get the big killer speech, obviously saying he's doing it for the store because, he's been ousted and all this. And
Flimsiest motive ever.
because doesn't she actually say, but why? Why are you killing everyone? It's like,
I'm just
he
crazy
says
about
it,
this store.
You're crazy about this store. But still, I ask again, why are you killing people?
Well, his thing is he says that Danny had to go, the other manager,
Mm-hmm.
and then everyone else was collateral damage.
That's right.
Right.
Interesting.
But then why isn't Danny the first to die? Why does he kill the one that's leaving? She's leaving.
Danny, he didn't even kill in one go because he survived when he gets seen up in the attic.
So the one he was intending to kill, he didn't kill. And then no one even knew. The only one that knew was Dave, because Dave's the only one that found him.
Right.
So, as I say, the whole thing makes not a fucking pickle of sense.
He's a loony. What can you say?
Crazy about
and her nose. I forgot to say throughout this, her nose bleeds more than 11 in Stranger Things. Like she's just constantly.
I have here. Jennifer is a fucking haemophiliac.
Yeah, she's got an actual problem.
She needs a bit of iron in her diet because she will not stop profusely bleeding to the point where it gives away her positioning.
That's why they put it in there, isn't it? So you get a moment where you see blood mixing with water on the floor, so he works out that she's behind a certain panel. It's great.
She's been in the wars, man. She's been bashed around by bloody dickhead. The male embodiment of male entitlement.
Yeah, in a leather jacket. Yeah, of course.
Fucking James Dean, motherfucker.
Yeah, I like though when Bill uses Danny's, because he has killed Danny now, and he uses Danny's head as a puppet.
And we go the callback to the story from earlier.
Yeah, yeah, of course. And then he's walking with his sandwich and the head. It's really good. And then we get her running past the aisles. Right. For those who haven't seen it and are just listening, so obviously the shot they want to get is her speeding down the main walkway past all of the aisles. And the shot they want to get is her speeding past each aisle. So they're at one end of the aisle filming, and she's passing the aisle at the other. And I think this must be one of the areas where they didn't set up in different aisles. So she starts just out of shot and does one leap run.
Jog.
Lands. Yeah. But just like one large jog. So one foot hits the middle and then the next one takes her off screen again. And they duplicate this, obviously changing the shelves. So all you get is 3 shots of her kind of bouncing into the middle and disappearing. Yeah, it's one of the most... I need a gif of it.
Yeah, if someone hasn't made one, could someone do it? Because what I imagine they were looking for was a supermarket sweep. And... Right. Instead, we get
very good.
Which is, I also just want to take a moment here to say thank you for not getting Dale Winton for this episode, because I feel like if anyone was going to be able to do it, it was you. It was you.
Can you imagine?
You missed trick there. You could have got Rylan as well, because he's the new one.
Oh yeah, that's true. It's like I really want to get Nigella Lawson for Microwave Massacre, just so she'll say Microwave Massacre.
Massacre. That's fucking genius, man. Make it happen, please.
But yeah, this bizarre running bit. By the time this episode comes out, I'm going to have made a GIF of that because it just needs to be in my life.
It's such a beautiful canter. I love it. We also missed out that a bread man for no reason dies.
That is correct, and that is our wonderful director, Scott.
That's Mr. Spiegel.
Yes, yeah, against the glass. Very screen that bit.
Yeah, Billy.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. And also, Craig gets beaten with Danny's head. I think.
But also there is a bottle shot that makes 0 sound. I think he comes up behind him, donks him with a bottle, but it just goes. There's not a noise.
Yes, this really jumped out at me because. At first, it's sort of 3 moments. There's a full bottle, then an empty bottle, and then it hits him and makes no sound. And then it's full again. I can't remember which way around it was, but it's bizarre little shot. Obviously, they're trying to make it one seamless thing where he's got a bottle and hits him on the head, but the way they've edited
they've edited it together, it just goes. Doop. Like, it's not even. I wish it was that much of a sound. It's not even that. It's white noise when he hits him. There's nothing there.
It is very strange.
Yeah.
But I like the big final showdown. Goes on longer than you think because there's moments where she sort of gets away and hides and then she caught again, then back and forth. She gets outside. Brad, I shit you not, I jumped out of my skin when she gets to the payphone and starts to call the police and he bursts through the glass of the payphone. I shit myself. It actually got me.
Because you'd forgotten, obviously, that it was going to occur.
Yeah.
Because we've already
But I'm normally on guard anyway. But
yeah, because you think the killer's always got to come back for a final scare.
Yeah.
Because he's already been stabbed and been told to suck on this.
Yes. You get your final girl line.
That's a really bad one.
Because it doesn't relate to what she's doing. No. No.
You shouldn't.
If she said, like, stay sharp, I don't know. Let me point something out.
There must have been a supermarket pun.
Yeah, there's got to be.
Clean up on aisle 12.
Yeah, there you go.
Done. Suck on this. What? If it was a tailpipe of, like, a car and she stabbed him with that, maybe I get that.
Yeah, that is a weird one. Yeah.
If that Cotto ever gets hold of that, that's definitely going in one of those 111 films.
Yeah. You're like, good call.
something to be said
He'd love
about
that.
This.
Yeah, that's a very strange line.
Yes.
Yeah, and then
we
get the trick. Yeah, I jumped out of my skin. Then we get this is where we get Bruce Campbell rocking up. And you barely even see him either.
They don't linger the camera on him so that you would be aware that it's him.
So it's less of a cameo and more of a favour, it feels.
Yeah, but I mean, what we get here is an indictment of the police system in America. There's police brutality all over the place here.
Yeah, oh my gosh, it's so violent.
They're like so aggressive with them.
The way he grabs her hair and like slams her
into the fucking car. It's like, shut the fuck up.
It's so bad. And also we've had Craig has macheted Bill. I always forget his name. The killer. So many times. I kind of wish, that's the only thing I was like, I just wish we'd seen a bit the actual result of that, because you don't see any of the blood or anything. I think you can't.
You can see it's like very much getting hit with like a rubber prop, but this obviously allows Bill to stitch them up.
Yeah,
his dying breath, his parting shot is like, is as simple as they fucking did it.
Yeah, he does. He literally goes, because the cops see that everyone's dead inside, and then he's lying there dying. And he goes, "Yeah, it was them,
fucking them," and they're like, well, "That's good enough for me."
It's ridiculous. And then we get the final shot where how do you feel about it?
I love it.
Do you?
She's getting redder Miranda rights. And the only thing she can do is do a really over-dramatic scream.
It's like Sting on the cover of that magazine. And the camera just goes up to her mouth, into the mouth.
That's that then.
So apparently what he wanted to do originally for the very end is the camera goes into her mouth, down her throat, to her beating heart, and you just see it stop. So she just dies of grief or whatever it is.
Disappointment.
Yeah, disappointment. Injustice. Dies of injustice. And her heart stops. That's what they wanted to end on.
I mean, neither is a good finish. But I would have liked a trip down the esophagus to the heart.
Yeah. Fucking hell. What a film, though.
It's eminently watchable, I think, is the most you can say for it. Even at its dullest, in its first sort of hour, there's something there. The writing is sharp enough and the characters are so well drawn enough that you don't mind kind of having these conversations that really seem to tantamount to nothing. And then you're just rewarded your patience with like half an hour of grand guignol fucking operatic murder.
It really is.
Love it.
And it feels playful it feels like everyone involved was kind of told, if you want to try something out, try it and we'll see if it works. It feels like everyone's kind of, whether it be the camera shots experimenting or with a performance, like making a decision, just going, this is a choice, I'm going to go with it. And it just feels like there was a lot of freedom to create. I don't know. And I think that makes all for a better movie, because it just feels like everyone was, it feels like it was a happy, a good time.
And in turn, 2 weeks. Have a good time watching the film.
100%. And it's just on the cusp of the 90s, before slashers got just serious and mean, and obviously until we get the seminal Scream. But what a breath of fresh air in that slug of a time.
Yeah, when you're like tramping through like Critters 4 and like
cheerleader camp.
Yeah, and just, I mean, not the Ice Cream Man, because the Ice Cream Man's fucking sick and was after.
Yeah.
There are
And that's
some
got
gems.
a different slant to it, that anyway.
Yeah, that's just porn. But like in this area, you're sitting and fucking Jason's fighting Carrie, and Jason's fucking around with Michael's fucking around with Colts.
Yes, yeah.
And Freddy's having a kid, and you're just like, I'm so sick of all this fucking like high concept, low reward fucking slasher bullshit. To have this one that just comes and says, this is an hour and a half of what you like, and we're going to do it in a way that we know that you like it.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. They're not trying to be clever, not trying to be different. They're just going back to basics in a way, but with everything that we've learned the 8 years prior.
Yeah.
And just fine-tuning some shit. Yeah.
And just being like, well, we don't need to have any elaborate... Thing is, if there's one thing I want more of a reason.
Of why this is
because
happening.
Slashers were getting too elaborate with their reasonings for why people were killing people and everything. I get that, but this one is like
a bit too far the other way.
Collateral damage. I think his actual reasoning is, I got carried away. There's a difference between eating a whole sleeve of Oreos where I got carried away, and murdering 8 co-workers.
Fair enough. I mean, it's really not a big deal, but if there's one gripe, I suppose realism. I want
the store to be buried on an Indian burial ground. And there's some kind of amulet.
Yeah.
Don't know what it's doing.
Some token. I'm so happy, and I did, and it's so weird because when we were talking when I first asked you about this, I didn't, unless it was subconscious, I didn't realize that you'd bigged this film up on Evolution of Horror, and full circle moment.
I can quit now.
Yeah, you've peaked.
I've done it.
I've
done everything there is to do in this crazy world.
Well, listen, it was good knowing you.
Yeah,
and
I'm going to go top myself.
Yeah, God, no, don't say that.
I'm going to get carried away.
Gonna go get carried away now. Thank you, Brad. But you will, of course, be around to complete our house retrospective on Patreon.
The house.
Yeah, in the house. That's Leprechaun. The hood.
And he's in the hood, not in the house.
Yeah, in the hood. But yeah, thank you so much, mate.
Stevie, it's been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you, Bradulus, for an awesome chat about an awesome movie. Marvellous stuff. Next week, Rotters, we are going to be covering Hell Night from 1981, the slasher haunted house mashup starring Linda Blair that recently got a lovely 4K restoration here in the UK, and that is currently streaming on Shudder, so get your peepers on it. If you want to follow us on social media, where very shortly I will be announcing the next few episodes, if you want to get a head start, on Twitter and Letterboxd, it's Stevie's Brainrot. On Instagram and Facebook, it's BrainRotPod. You can email me, as I said before, get in those Halloween recommendations. That's steviesbrainrot@gmail.com. If you want to buy merch, some of which is still on sale, that's steviesbrainrot.com. And is that it? Yeah, I think so. All right then. See you next week. Toodles!